Hello there, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Ed Live. Of course, this program is dedicated to bringing you information with regards to what is happening in our country in the political arena, and of course to expose the APNU AFC coalition. This evening we want to focus primarily on one specific area as we prepare for the general and regional elections coming up on the 2nd of March of next year. Before we go into our discussions, I want to start with a short video, a short message from the leader of the opposition, a very important message for all of us as Guyanese who would want to exercise our franchise to ensure that our vote is counted in the upcoming elections. So I'm going to go to the video. When we come back, we're going to have some discussions.
So I just got this slip here showing that I've been transferred now to this new location where I live. It's in the Industry Plaisance area, and I urge everyone to do the same, either to transfer into the closest place where you're going to vote, or alternatively to get out and get registered if you have not been registered before. This is crucial. These elections are vital. It's important we do so, regardless of whether you registered under the house-to-house process that had been truncated, which was illegal. You have to come out and get registered again if you had registered under that process, or start a transfer. So I want everyone, to do this, because the right to vote is a fundamental right, and we have to ensure that we effectively exercise it.
So there you have it, a very strong message from the leader of the opposition with regards to the claims and objections, what are the transactions that needs to be done, and how important it is for you as Guyanese, as eligible voters, to ensure that your documents, your everything is in order so that you can vote in the upcoming elections. Let me emphasize a little bit about the claims and objections and what is happening. The process started on the 1st of October, and it's running until the 11th of November. But I have to break that down for you to have an understanding before I tell you why it's important for you to capitalize on this period. So you have the claims and objections. You can do objections throughout the period, but the claims ends on the 4th of November. We're talking here another 3 days. The 4th of November, the claims end. It means you have until the 4th of November, which I think is Tuesday, to ensure that those of you who are not registered, that you get registered. Those of you who wants to do or who should do transfers, whether you move from one place to another, to ensure that you effect those transfers. Those of you who want to make name changes and so forth, to ensure that all of that are done on or before Tuesday. So during this exercise, you can do a number of things. You can do your new registration, like I said. You can do your transfers, name changes, and of course, you can make objections to persons who are on the list and who are on the list and not supposed to be on the list. So I wanna say to you, brothers and sisters, every single Guyanese, it is important that you ensure your vote is important. You want to participate in the exercise of choosing a government to represent you. It therefore means you have to ensure a number of things. One, that you're on the list. Two, if you're not yet registered and you're going to be 18 years on or before the 31st of December, to ensure that you get registered. If you've moved from one place to another, let's say you were living in Georgetown and you moved to Parfait Harmony, or you moved to Tushin, or you moved to the Essequibo Coast, or you moved to Berbice, it is important that you go down to the registration office in your area and ensure that you do your transfer. It is important. I can't emphasize this more. So I want to encourage you, 2 critical things that needs to be done, and you have until Tuesday to do this. One is to do your transfer. I know a lot of people keep saying, okay, when elections they reach, I'm going to travel from where I am to go back to the area where I last voted and vote. But on elections day, there are a number of factors that may prevent you. There might be difficulty with transportation and a whole host of things. So I want to encourage you, every single eligible Guyanese who would have moved from one electoral district to another, to capitalize on the next 3 days, to go down to the GCOM office. The offices are open on Sundays as well. To go down to those offices, ensure that you transfer. You walk with your ID card, you go and you let them know that you have moved from one place to another. You were living in X area, you're now living in this area where the electoral office is, or the GCOM office is, and you ensure that you apply for a transfer so that you can be on the official list of electors in your area. This is very, very, very important. You must ensure that you get this done because your vote is important. So I'm pleading with every single Guyanese. This is across party lines. I'm not talking about parties here and just PPP supporters. I'm talking to every single Guyanese. You have an obligation to ensure that you're in an electoral district, an electoral area where you're living, so you can vote there. For persons who are not registered, who weren't registered before, and this has to do with if you haven't voted in the last elections, the last local government elections, which was held on November 18th of last year, it means you are not going to be on the voters list. It therefore means you need to visit a GCOM office in your area and get registered. You're required to walk with your birth certificate to go down to the office and get registered. I'm going to repeat again, and I want you to listen to me carefully. If you have not been registered during the continuous registration exercise that were held prior to the November 18, 2018 local government elections, it means you will not be on the voters list for the upcoming elections. It is important that you get your birth certificate. You have just 3 days remaining. Well, 2 days, because today is the 2nd of November. So you have tomorrow and Monday. I keep saying 3 days all the time. I now realize the 4th is Monday. You must go down to a GCOM office in your area and get registered. Your vote is important. Your vote seems to be, at this point, your only chance of choosing a government that can represent you, that can ensure that you benefit. It therefore means you must visit a GCOM office and get registered. Don't be confused with the truncated, corrupt, illegal house-to-house registration exercise that was held. That entire exercise is marred in confusion and chaos. And we're going to talk about the list that is published so as to give you an understanding of why, if somehow you were duped or hoodwinked into registering during that exercise, please don't let that be the reason you're not going to visit a registration office to register. You must. There is only one preliminary list of electors which was extracted from the National Register of Registrants. The National Register of Registrants database, after the last claims and objections, if I can go so far, in 2018, before the local government elections, no single name has been added to that database. It therefore means if you were not registered prior to the November 2018 elections, you are not going to be on the preliminary list of electors, and you're not going to be on the official list of electors unless you get registered now. The GCOM offices are open. I understand they're opening very late, I think about 7 p.m. It therefore means it's important that you go down and you get registered. Don't be fooled and be carried away that you registered during that truncated house-to-house registration. There is no decision on that data. So if you register during that, there is no guarantee you're going to be on the list. Your safest bet is to get registered now. I also want to encourage my brothers and sisters to go down to the GCOM offices in your area or wherever the lists are posted and to check the list. Check the preliminary list of electors. And to make it a bit simpler, you're going down there to check the blue list. You're going to see other lists there. Ignore them. You're checking the blue list, which is the preliminary list of electors, to see if your name is on that list. If your name is not on that list, you ought to make an objection. You ought to make a claim at the GCOM office to say, here's my ID card, I was registered, I voted before, or I registered before, I am now 18, my name is not on the list, so that your name can get on the list. It is important that you ensure you check the list. It is important, so I want to encourage you to do a couple of things. I'm going to repeat them before I go into anything else. One, if you're going to be 18 years on or before the 31st of December, the last day of this year, you have just 2 days, tomorrow and Monday, to go down to a GCOM office in your area and get registered. That's the first thing. But you have to check the list, because some of you would have been registered when you were 14 and so on. So you check the list, your name is not there, go down to a GCOM office, ensure that you go through the process to be on the list. And you have 2 days. You have 48 hours to do that. Well, less than 48 hours, because now it's after 8:30. Secondly, every single voter, you need to check the preliminary list of electors to ensure that your name is on that list. If your name is not on the list, then you need to make a claim at the office, the GCOM office, to say that I'm registered, I voted before, I have in my possession an ID card, but my name is not on the list, to ensure that you get onto that list. Thirdly, and very important, is if you've moved from one electoral area to another, and the video showed you the leader of the opposition who voted previously at a polling station close to Main Street in Georgetown, because his address that was listed then when he was president was State House, took it upon himself to go to the electoral district, the office in his area, the Sparendam area, to do a transfer so that he can vote where he's living, the area in which he's living. You are required, as a voter who wants your vote to count, to do the same. It's important. And we are emphasizing this. You see every single person from the PPP that comes onto the TV and talk to you or reach you in the street or you have a conversation on the phone with you, we encourage you to do your transfer. Those are the three most critical elements of what you need to deal with. With regards to the objections of names that are on the list, if you see a name there, you can deal with that. All right? But you must ensure that your name is on the list. If you have not yet registered during, and I'm not, again, we are taking this house-to-house registration out of the picture. There is the data for that. There's mass confusion. We're going to deal with that a little later in the program. But I'm saying to you, if you have not registered prior to the November 18 local government elections last year, then you must go down and get registered so that you can be on the list. All right? So please, comrades, friends, brothers and sisters, it's important that you ensure that these things are in place so that when the elections come, you can vote. I want to address a little bit of confusion, because I want to spend most of the time to talk about registration, to talk about the claims and objections exercise, which is coming to an end, and why it's important that you ensure that you're on the list. If you're eligible, if you have not yet registered, if you've moved, a number of things you need to address. You need to ensure that those are in order. But I want to speak to you a little bit just to bring some clarity with regards to the list that was published. And the Chief Scrutineer, the Executive Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, would have written to the chair of GCOM to advise that the list, the manner in which the list was published, the clandestine manner in which the list was published on the Diwali weekend, and we know what happened one Diwali when a chairman of GCOM was appointed unconstitutionally, which the CCJ had to rule that his appointment was unconstitutional. So another Diwali gimmick was pulled where the list was published, the data from the house-to-house registration was published. The parties involved, including the opposition, were not informed, so they knew nothing about the list. The data has been dumped into the public domain, and people don't know what to check for. What are you going to check this truncated house-to-house data for that is published? You don't know. And during a claims and objections exercise, a preliminary list of electors must be published. That preliminary list of electors must be extracted from the National Register of Registrants database. That database has been continuously updated through continuous registration exercises up until just before the November 18, 2018 local government elections. So that list has been updated up to then. No information has been added to the list, to the database after that elections period, after the claims and objections leading up to that elections. So the data that is out there is of no value, cannot be used, and should not be used. Therefore, persons who were duped and hoodwinked into registering during that exercise, there is no guarantee that the registration you did during that exercise is going to get you onto that list, onto the official list of electors. So the data that is out there is a waste of taxpayers' money. You put it out there, nobody knows what to do with it. It has no value. The entire exercise was marred in confusion and chaos. When you look at the list, you have multiple registrations of the same person, inaccurate data, and a whole host of things. So I encourage you not to focus on the data that is put out there with the so-called house-to-house registration exercise. You must focus on one list, and that list is the blue list, like I made the point, which is the official, the preliminary list of electors. So it's important that you go to that list to check to see if your name is on the list. I'm going to take a few calls, and I want to hear from you this evening. Good evening.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good evening.
I can't even tell you what it is called.
You have to turn down the volume of your television.
Just the 8th of the say 2 days now, the board they perform. And I refuse to register sheet. But then I have somebody can't to
You have to turn down the volume of your television. It's giving me a serious feedback. You got to do that quickly. Yes.
The guy that I got yesterday at home, school, we got Unity. So this thing, but by the board paper, the board paper got 2 days now, she doesn't have board paper, she register.
She has her birth certificate. She got it now?
But the thing that I put the age, you have that GPO.
Which area you're from?
Unity.
Unity. All right, so here what you're going to do. Take this number. Tomorrow, let her call 227 2095.
Okay, that's good.
And talk to the guys there. They're gonna get the issue and they're gonna try to address it for you. All right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you've now received your source documents, like the lady is saying, her granddaughter just received her source document, which is her birth certificate, but she's claiming that the staff at GCOM are refusing to register the young lady. I encourage you to call one of the hotline numbers at Freedom House. It's you can call 227-2095, 227-2096, and you talk to someone there who is going to be able to take your particulars and try to assist you. We have just 2 days remaining. Therefore, it's important that you ensure that you get registered. So I'm going to take a few calls. I know a number of persons have issues with regards to not getting registered. They're confused with regards to which list they should check, and a whole host of confusion. We want to iron those out because you have just 2 days remaining, less than 48 hours to address all of this. Good evening.
Good night, Eddie.
Hi, good night.
I live with a toy stallion.
Yes.
I'm a 75-year-old woman.
Uh-huh.
And Eddie, they come round for register, I register. And until now I register, but all them years me just vote. You think me could go to GCOM and register again?
You have your ID card?
Yeah.
All right. So if you have your ID card,
Yes.
it means you're supposed to be on the voters list.
Yes.
You don't need to re-register. What you need to do is to check your check the list to
Yes.
ensure that your name is on the list. Did you do that?
No, I ain't do that.
All right. So you can call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Call 227-2095 or 227-2096. That's the Freedom House.
Yeah.
Where the guys there are going to take your information. They're going to try to check the list to ensure that your name is on the list.
Eddie, I live in the toy stallion. I can't contact with Romel.
Yes, Romel, make contact with Romel Rupnarain.
Yeah, because he lives just...
And I hope Romel is looking at the program. And if Romel knows you, I
Yeah.
hope that he can...
I'm a sickly woman, so I can send my son.
Okay, I hope Romel will be able to assist
But
you.
me not gonna forget GCOM to register again.
No, you don't need to register. You're already registered. You just need to ensure that your name is on the list.
Yeah, because all the time me keep voting all the time.
All right, so...
Okay, then have a good night. Thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am. All right, so I'm going to make contact with Romel if he's not looking at the program to ensure that he address this concern here, to check out to ensure that this person's name is on the list, the person already in possession of an ID card. If you have an ID card, you would have voted before, you don't need to register again. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, brother.
I can't find out this transport. Where you got to go after you do that, do a transport?
You can walk with your ID, walk with your ID card, right? And if you want to walk with your birth certificate, that's optional. But you can walk with your ID card, go to the GCOM office in your area. Inform them that you have moved. They will ask you to fill out a little form. Well, matter of fact, they will fill out a little form for you. And they're going to put your new address and they're going to set a date when they're going to come to verify that indeed you are living at that address. They will give you a slip, a piece of paper. You'll keep that. They'll come and verify, and then they'll change that so that you can vote in the area you are operating in now. But you have just 2 days remaining, tomorrow and Monday, to get this done.
Yes, okay.
All right? Thanks for coming through. Yes, so, we want to ensure that persons are transferred, persons are registered. So if you have a concern, you have a little bit of a confusion, you want us to clarify that, I would... as much as I can, will try to help you. If I can't, I'll direct you to a source where you can get the necessary help, because we have to get this done within the next 48 hours or so. Good evening.
Hi, good night, Eddie. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. How are you?
Okay, Hannah, my brother, they went in Diamond to register in 2008, and he got his slip, but his name spelled wrong. And he did not have an original birth certificate because he living by himself and he's over 60. So I went and I look after and I get his birth certificate. Could he he has to go with his slip with his birth certificate to prove that they spell his name wrong?
Yeah, he should do that. He should do that to go and to make, and this is a correction now. This is what we talked about, where you want to make a change or a correction to your particulars. He should do that tomorrow or Monday the latest. I prefer him getting this done tomorrow so that they can make the change on his ID card to his correct name.
Oh.
Right? So let him walk with that and go tomorrow and get it sorted out. Where are you calling from?
No, but he didn't go to receive his ID card as yet. But when we check the list, the receipt, the paper, when they give it to you, to him. The name spelled wrong when we correspond it to the birth certificate, the photocopy. So I make sure I go and I get the original for him.
Well, you go back, because is he on the list though?
No.
He's not on the list?
No.
Well, he needs to go and make a claim. All right? He needs to go tomorrow to the GCOM office in your area, walk with the slip, walk with the birth certificate, and and get this ironed out, so that he can be corrected and he can receive his ID card, or he can be on the list. There is no requirement for you to have an ID card to vote. That's another story that we may probably address a little as we go down the program. Yes, let him go down with his passport and the birth certificate and the slip and make the correction tomorrow.
Yes,
if you have any other question, I encourage you to call 227-2095. You'll get on to the folks at Freedom House, and the companies there are going to help you, give you all the information that you need. But this needs to be done within the next 48 hours.
Yeah, but they need to get well-educated people to work at GCOM. They should have got people who don't know the spell.
Well, that's another story. That's another story. We need to clarify these things now, right?
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
thank
through.
you. Bye.
All right. Yes, so persons, again, you can make changes to your particulars. If your name is incorrectly spelled, if you're married now and you want to have a woman wants to change her surname because to use her married name, then this is the time. You have 48 hours, less than 48 hours to get all of this done. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, brother.
I don't really want to make any claims also. I just want to point out the election between 1968 to 1990, 92 was rigged by a PNC Lace Election Commission, right? And that is the same thing they're going to do again.
Well, we have to remain vigilant as a people. All of us have a role to play to ensure that the elections are free and fair and free from fear.
But right now, the people got to be looked at is Alexander, Foreign, Chapman, and the greatest of all crook, Lowenfield.
I agree with you that people have to be, we have to continuously be monitor and be vigilant. Thanks for coming through, brother.
Let me tell you something. The 2015 election is rigged, you know.
I mean, the PPP filed an election petition, which is still to be heard, and they are concerned.
Why you think they're not recounting it?
I know, but I don't want to. I want to use up tonight to hear the concerns, to clarify things to people. We're gonna talk about this another time, though. Thanks for coming through. Yes, so I want to focus tonight on persons who have concerns, who are a bit confused, who wants clarification, guidance, and so forth with regards to ensuring that they are on the list or they get registered. So we want to maximize our time for this purpose mainly. Good evening.
Good evening, Eddie. How are you doing, my brother?
Not bad at all, ma'am.
Hey, this thing, just of course, I know where my wife. Just pray for letter they need. They got to, if letter they need, if a first body must be to vote for get victory by all. Just pray for that. Good luck.
All right, thanks for coming through.
Good luck.
Thanks for coming through.
Wish you all the best. We wish for that, my brother.
All right, thanks for coming through, brother. All right, well, we're going to try to do what the best we can do. You got to do a transfer? You have to do a transfer?
Yesterday, it's too late to be in there, man, and I said too late that we can't go back to me and register.
Who told you that it's too late?
When you go down at the office, you see, they're going to figure out like hell, me.
No, who told you that it's too late for you to do a transfer? All right, so here one. I think the day when you went, it was late in the afternoon or the evening. But tomorrow, please call 227-2095 and let the guys organize something so that you can go and do your transfer. All right? Thanks for coming through. All right. Yes, I think the confusion there is the timing, not necessarily that the period has expired for you to do a transfer. You have 48 hours more, and every single person who may have concerns, I know we just have limited time for the program, but I encourage you, you can call 227-2095, 227-2096, or you can contact Freedom House in Berbice, you can contact Freedom House at Anna Regina in Region 10, all the PPP offices across the country, and you will get guidance, you'll get information, and and you have just 48 hours to get all of this done to ensure that you're on the list and you can vote solidly in March of 2020, and of course vote solidly for the People's Progressive Party. Good evening.
Good evening, Ed.
Hi, good evening.
I've heard from you a long time.
Well, I'm here.
Okay,
I've been here for the
one
longest while.
question.
Yes.
Why is it only tomorrow and Monday?
Well, the exercise has been going since the 1st of October. But the exercise is about to wrap up, and we have just tomorrow and Monday remaining for you to do transfers, for you to get registered, for you to make corrections and so forth.
But I think we need to extend that time somehow or the other because there's so much claims and objectives and things.
No, well, the objections, there is another, after Monday, there is still 7 days for the objections.
Yeah, along with other things to get
Well,
this thing right.
Well, I mean, we had an entire month. I think that it's already 34 days or 33 days already.
But
So,
look how much months since we had the year's vote.
well, that's another story, and I don't want to really deal with that tonight. I want to deal with persons who have issues, need clarification and so on, so that we can get them onto the list, get them transferred and so forth. All right?
Okay.
Thanks for coming through here.
To get a clarification.
All right, not a problem.
Thanks.
Yes, so it's not just 2 days you're given to do this. 2 days are remaining, and we have to capitalize on the 2 days. Let us not look at how short is the time we had since the 1st of October, but there are a number of persons who are still to effect transfers, probably to be registered and so forth. So I want to encourage you to maximize the next 48 hours to ensure that these are done. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, brother.
Yeah, about this registration,
Yes.
name is on the list. My name is on the list since in the 90s. I want to know how long it will take for a name to be on the list to get the next ID card.
To get the next ID card?
ID card. Because I think every time when the election comes up, I feel I have to get a new ID card.
No. That is not true.
No, how long it will take? If not just the election, it could be next election. How long could be allowed? Like you get the new one now, or how long will this one could last?
ID cards don't expire. ID cards, you have an ID card that you used in the last election?
Yeah.
Well, then your ID card is valid. What you need to do now is to check the list to ensure that your name is on the list so that you can vote. If your name is not on the list, you have to make a claim to ensure that your name is included on the list.
Because I feel like every election we get a new
No, you don't have to get a new ID card for the elections. And you should not be getting a new ID card for every elections. Unless you're registering for the first time, you will get an ID card for the first time. But if you have an ID card that you used in the last elections, whether the 2011, the 2015 elections, the 2016 local government, or the 2018 local government, that ID card is valid, and that is the ID card you will use to vote on March 2nd. The important thing for you now is to check the list to ensure that your name is on that list. All right? Thanks for coming through, brother. Yeah, we have just about 3 minutes or 2 minutes more. I'll try to sneak in a few more calls to hear from some persons who may have questions and so forth, and who will be seeking clarifications. Good evening. Hi, good evening.
We can take a blue signal here, right? The girl come around and tell them my wife's name, but they're not come back.
What do you mean she came around and took down your wife's name? Is your wife registered?
No, she don't be registered.
She never registered?
No.
Well, your wife needs to go down with her birth certificate to the GCOM office in the Lusignan area tomorrow and get registered. All right? No, well, you have to check. Well, here what to do. I don't have offhand here the closest office to Lusignan, but what I will say to you is to call 227-2095 tomorrow, and the guys at Freedom House are going to guide you where the office you should take her. You have just tomorrow and Monday to get this done. So please make contact with Freedom House, and the guys are going to guide you where to get the to get her registered. All right? All right. Thanks for coming through. We sneak in one more call and then we wrap things up. Just one more. I think we have what? It is now 55, so I have 1 more minute. Let me take one more call. Good evening.
Hi, Eddie. Good night. How are you?
Not bad, brother.
Okay. You see the confusion now.
This whole nation remember when Jack Day was on television ever so often telling the people not to register. They don't have to register. And when the folks come chase them, you see what you're getting on with now. You see, people need to understand that these politicians, right, they're just making an ass of the people.
No, you're not going to come on air and use that kind of word. You're not going to come on air. All right? I'll have to cut you off. I'll allow you to speak, but if you're going to come and use certain statements, I'm not going to allow you on. So let me just address that quickly in 30 seconds with what this gentleman said. When the leader of the opposition came on television and said publicly, people should not register during the house-to-house registration because that exercise was unconstitutional. It was illegal. The exercise was intended to remove people from the list, to use residency as a requirement to get onto the list. So the confusion and what the guy is trying to do there, he's trying to fool people, to confuse people, to say, oh, is the PPP tell you not to register, now they're rushing you to register. The PPP encourage you not to register during the house-to-house registration if you're already registered. And those of you who are not yet registered should not support that exercise, because that exercise is chaos and confusion, and we're seeing the results of it today, where the data is confusing. The data mixed up, wrong information, and a whole host of things, and nobody knows what to do with the data. So, excuse me, that is what the PPP said to you then, not to register during that exercise. It was an illegitimate exercise, and the Chief Justice ruled that any attempt to remove people from the voters list or to use residency as a requirement was illegal and unconstitutional. So that is why the PPP, the leader of the opposition, we've been maintaining that people should not be registered during that exercise. So let me tell you quickly, before I wrap things up, 30 seconds. You have tomorrow and Monday to go down to the GCOM office in your area to ensure that your name is on the list. Those of you who are not yet registered, excuse me, to get registered. And also, if you've moved from one area to another, to use tomorrow and Monday to do your transfer so you can vote in the area you're operating. You can call 227-2095, 227-2096. There's a team at Freedom House standing by to ensure that they provide you with guidance as to what you need to do within this period. Until next week, this is where I want to say thank you for being part of the program. We can be back next week with you. Bye for now.